this is about more than Iraq, although I'm glad to talk about Iraq and how we end our involvement there successfully. This is about health care and jobs and energy independence and education and all the rest.
All right, that was, of course, Senator Joe Lieberman. He got whooped last night in the primary against Ned Lamont. I want to bring in Lanny Davis, former special counsel to President Clinton. Lanny's book, Truth to Tell, and my friend Terry Jeffrey, Human Events. You know, Lanny, your piece in the Wall Street Journal on this thing yesterday, which is a great piece, hinted at a lot of Democratic far-left, move-on-dog-or, daily cost type stuff of anti-Semitism against Lieberman. Our great friend Seth Lipsky picked this up in the New York Sun editorial this morning. That's pretty much dirty poll, should be out of bounds. Why is that, Lanny? What's happened inside your party?
Well, I'm getting similar comments. I just got one sitting here waiting to go on camera from the right wing accusing Joe Lieberman of supporting the Iraq war because he's got dual citizenship and is Jewish and supports Israel. There's bigotry on both sides, and the unfortunate part of the piece, which if I had to do it all over again, there were so many things to choose from showing just sheer hatred on the left that I picked a few that were worst and they were anti-Semitic, but there's just sheer hatred having nothing to do with anti-Semitism. Both sides have this hatred machine, Larry. When I was at the Clinton White House, we suffered it from the right. Now it's on the left against George Bush. What Lieberman is doing in this general election has not really been done before. He's running as a Democrat, and he's denouncing the hate machines on both the left and the right, and he's calling for a government where the center can hold and solve people's problems. This is a new type of campaign that I think is going to be very interesting.
All right, well, Terry Jeffrey, Lanny may well be right, and Lieberman may appeal to the sort of middle ground in Connecticut. Terry, let me here's a quote. Here's a quote from Michael Moore. Moore says, "Let the resounding defeat of Senator Joe Lieberman send a cold shiver down the spine of every Democrat," end quote. Terry Jeffrey, does this primary where Lamont beats Lieberman make the Dems the party of Michael Moore and the extreme anti-war left?
It sure does, Larry. I think it's sending them back to the days of George McGovern. You know, since 1968, America has only elected 2 Democratic presidents. Both of them were Southern governors, Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton. And what I think Bill Clinton learned and started to teach the Democratic Party is that the electorate in the red states that we now call the South and Midwest thought the Democrats were too far left on national security and too far left on cultural issues to vote for them. Clinton solved that. I thought, Clinton was a liberal, but he did have a way of coming across as more conservative on some things without substantially moving his position. I think Joe Lieberman was a solid and sincere hawk on national security issues and had a way of softening his liberalism on cultural issues, even though he's a hardcore cultural liberal. And I think that positioning of the Democratic Party that Bill Clinton really invented
is gone.
Is gone, and it's bad news for Hillary Clinton, because Hillary Clinton is going to be that kind of Democrat.
Just real quick. Lanny, we're just left to the last minute. What's your comment on Terry's take?
I hate to agree with Terry Jeffrey. He's going to kill both of us. But look, this Michael Moore comment is typical Moore. Resounding victory, 52-48. The guy was up 13 points. He dropped like a rock in 1 week in 10 points. Michael Moore calls that a resounding victory. That's why Moore, rather than sticking to the facts, Joe Lieberman is a liberal Democrat, voted 90% with the Democratic Party. What shiver is Moore talking about? It's that extreme rhetoric, not factual, inaccurate, that makes me embarrassed to have Michael Moore speak for me, and I'm an anti-war liberal Democrat. Joe Lieberman, as a liberal, reaches out to the John McCains, the John Warners, to get things done. He governs in the center while he remains committed to progressive principles. That's why
Terry
we
Jeffrey,
need him,
all right,
and that's why he'll win.
All right, I appreciate that. Terry, real fast, 7 seconds. Why should Republicans care? Why should the Republican big contributors go into this race? One way or the other, it's a Democratic blue state.
You know, Joe Lieberman losing is actually good politics for the Republicans, but you got to respect his consistent position on the war. He's had integrity there, Larry.
Yeah, I agree.
Respect for it.
I agree. All right, Lanny Davis, Terry Jeffrey, very interesting. Up next, my last word. Quit bashing businesses, please. We'll be right back.